When a teenage girl's bond with her golden retriever becomes unnaturally intense, her family suspects something disturbing is happening. What they discover about her body months later will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about human-animal connections. This was no ordinary relationship between girl and dog. Something was truly wrong. At first, her family couldn't understand what was happening. But when the truth emerged months later, what doctors discovered about her body left everyone absolutely stunned. Emily had always been drawn to animals. Since childhood, she found solace in their presence, particularly dogs. Max, her golden retriever, had been by her side for 3 years now. He wasn't merely a pet. He was her confidant, her guardian, her source of unwavering love. Their connection was unmistakable. Max had a particular way of nestling beside her on the sofa, placing his head gently on her lap, keeping her company through restless nights. As months passed, Emily's bond with Max intensified remarkably. She began dedicating more time to him, frequently choosing to remain home rather than socialize with friends. Her family initially dismissed it as a phase, just Emily deepening her connection with her beloved dog. But before long, they began noticing something unusual. Emily started insisting on sleeping with Max every night, her bedroom door consistently shut as the two settled in together. Initially, it seemed innocent enough, a girl and her dog, nothing out of the ordinary. But as weeks stretched into months, her family grew increasingly concerned. Her parents exchanged worried glances during meals, whispering about Emily's growing attachment. Her older brother Matt even joked that perhaps Emily loved Max more than her own family. Their laughter never quite reached their eyes, though. Deep down, an unsettling feeling persisted, as if something wasn't quite right. As time progressed, the family's worries escalated. Emily's behavior, once sweet and heartwarming, began to appear strange and concerning. Her mother Carol would often linger at Emily's doorway, watching her daughter curled up in bed with Max, her arm wrapped tightly around his neck. At first glance, it seemed harmless, but Carol couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. One evening, as the family gathered around the dinner table, her father John cleared his throat before speaking. "Emily," he said gently, "don't you think it's time to stop sleeping with Max every night?" His tone was measured, but underlying concern was evident. "You're growing up, sweetheart. It's not normal to sleep with your dog every night." Emily's head jerked up, her expression immediately defensive. "What do you mean, not normal?" "Max is just comforting me," she responded, her voice noticeably tense. John and Carol exchanged meaningful looks, the tension palpable. "We understand, honey," Carol interjected, her voice soft but worried. "But this attachment, it's becoming excessive. Perhaps you should spend more time with your friends. Get out of the house more." Emily felt frustration rising within her. She couldn't comprehend their concern. Max was the only one who truly understood her, who never judged her. But her parents' whispers persisted, and soon her brother Matt joined their chorus of concern. "I think you're taking this dog lover thing too far, Em. It's just a dog." Emily felt herself shrinking under their scrutiny. She couldn't understand why they didn't get it, why they couldn't see that Max meant everything to her. But as days passed, her family's suspicions only deepened. Something was definitely wrong. They all sensed it. It began with subtle, barely noticeable changes in Emily's body. Initially, she dismissed them, attributing the discomfort to stress or exhaustion. But as weeks went by, these changes became impossible to ignore. She began experiencing unusual fatigue, even after a full night's sleep. Her energy levels would plummet every afternoon, regardless of how much rest she'd gotten. Her once clear complexion erupted in persistent acne. And her emotional state? It had become an unpredictable, constant storm. One night, as she lay in bed with Max beside her, Emily's mind raced uncontrollably. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously wrong. Her body felt foreign, as though it was betraying her in ways she couldn't comprehend. Her head throbbed constantly, her stomach churned uncomfortably, and her emotions swung wildly from one extreme to another. Max, as always, remained by her side, but even his presence failed to comfort her as it once had. She had always found solace in his warmth and steady breathing, but now his closeness only seemed to amplify the strange sensations overwhelming her. The following morning, Emily woke feeling more exhausted than ever before. As she dragged herself to the bathroom, her reflection stopped her cold. Her face appeared pale, her eyes sunken. Placing a hand on her stomach, she felt a deep, unsettling certainty that something was seriously wrong. The more she considered it, the more she realized her body was signaling her. Signals pointing to something serious happening within her. But what exactly? She had no idea. The moment of truth arrived unexpectedly, like lightning on a clear day. Emily had been feeling increasingly disconnected from her own body. The extreme fatigue, emotional swings, and unexplained pain had become unbearable. One afternoon, sitting on the couch with Max's head resting on her lap, she felt a sharp, burning pain in her lower abdomen. This wasn't mere discomfort. It was a searing sensation she couldn't possibly ignore. Panicking, she rushed to the bathroom, hoping a brief rest would ease the pain. But it only intensified. Her breath caught as she gripped the counter, struggling to steady herself. That's when reality hit her. This wasn't normal. She wasn't merely tired or stressed. This wasn't something to brush aside. Deep down, she knew something serious was happening inside her body. Desperate for answers, Emily consulted a doctor. After thorough examination and comprehensive testing, the doctor sat her down, his expression grave. "Emily, you're experiencing early signs of an extremely rare condition," he explained gently, detailing something few people ever encounter. Her body had been reacting to a biochemical imbalance, a hormonal shift affecting her entire physical well-being. The doctor's revelation hit her like a speeding train. He explained that her profound bond with Max, while pure and loving, had unknowingly triggered a biological reaction in her body that mimicked pregnancy symptoms. It was an incredibly rare and medically complex condition, and Max's constant proximity had somehow intensified these physical changes. Emily sat in stunned silence, unable to fully process what she was hearing. What had been happening to her body wasn't imaginary. She wasn't losing her mind. But the true shock came when she realized the depth of her body's response and how it had been tied to her intense emotional connection with Max. When Emily returned home from the doctor's office, her mind still reeled from the news. She sat at the kitchen table, Max faithfully by her side, struggling to find words to explain her condition. Her parents, whose concern had grown exponentially over recent months, waited anxiously. They noticed an immediate change in her demeanor, something that simultaneously worried and relieved them. "Mom, Dad," Emily began, her voice unsteady. "You were right. Something was wrong with me, but it's not what you thought." Her mother sat beside her, her expression a mixture of confusion and concern. "What do you mean, honey?" "What happened?" Emily inhaled deeply. "It's a rare condition," she explained. "The doctor says my bond with Max triggered physiological changes in my body. That's why I've been feeling so sick and exhausted. It wasn't anything inappropriate like you feared. It's simply biology." Her father looked at her in disbelief, his expression gradually softening with understanding. The weight of their earlier judgments crashed down upon them. For the first time in months, they saw their daughter not as someone unhealthily attached to her pet, but as a young woman battling something no one could have anticipated. The days that followed brought profound reflection for Emily and her family. What had once created tension between them, their fears and misunderstandings about her relationship with Max, now brought them closer together. Emily's parents, who had feared the worst, now experienced a complex mixture of guilt and relief. They had judged her behavior, assuming it was unnatural or potentially harmful. But now they recognized how little they truly understood about the intricate connections between their daughter's physical body and her emotional world. In the end, this wasn't just a story about a girl and her dog. It was about how the deepest bonds we form can affect us in ways science is only beginning to understand, and how sometimes what looks concerning on the surface might have explanations far more complex than we could ever imagine.